queen approaches in all her majesty.
Louisiana, if not the North, find another man. So treat me like the queen I am. Treat me like I give a damn. Let me be my biggest fan. And let Louisiana, if not the North, find another man. Oh, oh. Oh, it looks like we got everybody tonight. It's the whole family. We're gonna have a good time tonight. Is that all right with y'all?
Yes.
All right. Now I know the most uncomfortable thing at a family reunion is when you don't know whose name is what and whose uncle's related to whose half-brother's cousin stepsister. So before we go any further, let's set the record straight. I am Mary Therese Coincoin, Queen of Louisiana. Can I hear you say, hey, Coincoin?
Hey, Coincoin.
That sounds real nice. And for tonight, you are all my royal descendants. Give it up for yourselves. And look to the person on one side of you, say hi.
Hi. Hi.
Look to the person on the other side of you, say, hey.
Hey.
That's your family too. Now, this is a very special family reunion because tonight I'm going to tell you my life story. And my hope is that you can gain a little wisdom along the way. Now I warn you, my story has many ups and downs, twists and turns, and painful truths along the way. But I don't want to hold anything back tonight. Is that all right with y'all?
Yes.
Good. Y'all good if I play a few songs while I'm at it? Yeah. Sometimes a little music is the only way to let the truth out. Now, I know what you think. There's no queen of Louisiana. At no point in history has there been a queen of Louisiana. What's this lady up here talking about? Who does she think she is? Well, I'll tell you. I am a descendant of African royalty from the nation of Togo. My ancestors were kings and queens of Africa. But in real life, I never wore a crown because I was born into slavery here in Natchitoches, Louisiana in the year 1742. But my parents always taught me that one day we would be restored to the dignity and honor we deserve. And so from a young age, I vowed that one day I would free myself and all my future children from the chains of slavery, one way or another. My whole life revolved around that single vow. Because I was a slave, I didn't have a lot of the things I deserved in life. How many of y'all feel like you don't have the things you deserve in life? Any of y'all feel like no one sees you for who you really are? Like there's something inside you just dying to come out? Like even if you showed the world who you really are, people still wouldn't see? Thank you for sharing that. I've been there too.
Pretend the pain is beauty, and maybe one day you will be
As I grew up, I looked at the women around me, black, white, and everything in between. And I saw the only way up and out was marriage to a man. And thankfully, by the time I was only 16 years old, I was already a well-endowed, full-grown woman. The Black Gardenia of Natchitoches, they called me. I was the talk of the town. I was exotique. I was rare. Yeah, I see you looking at me. Go ahead, keep on looking. Now, despite my looks, I've only ever had 2 lovers in my life. Chatta and Pierre. First, there was Chatta. He was a native of this land, an Indian, we used to say. And like us, he was enslaved to the DeSoto family. He was my first love. In my eyes, he could do no wrong. He always smelled of burnt wood, so I called him my mahogany man. We had 5 children together, and they too were born into slavery. So for 7 years, I waited for the path to freedom to reveal itself. But Chatta couldn't wait that long. You see, one night, while I was still pregnant with our 5th child, mind you, Chatta asked me to run away with him. But that would mean abandoning our children. And I chose my children. So when I woke up the next morning, he was gone. And I swore there would never be another. But then I met Pierre. You see, Pierre Matoir was a traveling merchant, straight off the boat from France. Dashing, charming, handsome as all get out. And he knew it. He was the kind of man who you knew what he wanted, just from the way he looked at you. I met him at a shop he was working at while I was running an errand for my master, Madame DeSoto. I didn't think too much of him at the time, but I must have caught his eye, because on my way out the door, he stopped me and said, "Miss, can I have a word with you outside?" And I said, "Yes, monsieur." And he helped me carry my parcels all the way down to the foot of the hill, way down there by the river. Eventually I said, "Monsieur, I can take it from here." But he just stopped and stared at me. And I stared back. I looked deep into his ocean blue eyes. And suddenly I saw my future there. He opened his mouth to speak. He said, "I have a proposition to make you. A business proposition." He said he had heard that I was an African princess and that he thought I deserved something better in life. And I said, "Well, can you offer me something better in life?" And he said, "As a matter of fact, yes." He was looking for a woman to take care of his house during the day and to keep him company at night. And he asked if I would be that woman. And again, I said, "Well, what's in it for me?" And he said, "Freedom for me and all my children." That was all I needed to hear. So I said, "Yes, I'll come live with you." And the next night, I came to his house. And I shared his bed for the first of many times. I'll never know how he really felt. But in my heart, I imagine we sang this song of eternal devotion.
Promise me that you will stay with me through the good and bad. Promise you'll be right back through the good and bad. Promise you'll be right there. Oh, promise me that you'll stay with me. In time of need, I'll be there to fill your needs. I will care if you ever leave. If you die, I'll find you. I'll find you. I'll find Those were our sacred vows. There in that cottage bed, we said them together. We couldn't say our vows in the church because interracial relationships were legal at that time. Illegal, but accepted and understood. Common even. And so we started a family. This is my family tree right here. Here's me, Marie Therese Coincoin. And over on this side, here's Chatham and our 5 lovely children. Marie Louise, Therese, Fanchon, Nicholas, and John Joseph. And over on this side here, here's Pierre. And over many long, patient years, I gave him 10 children. I know. It was Augusta, Marie Suzanne, Louis, Pierre the Second, Dominique, Elaine, Antoine Joseph, Marie Francoise Rosalie, Pierre, 2 sons, and Francois. Year after year, child after child, I waited for Pierre to fulfill his promise to me. Then one day, the local priest took it upon himself to condemn our relationship as a grievous sin and a crime against God. But who was to bear the punishment for this crime?
The both of us? No. Only me. I, a descendant of African royalty, was subjected to 20 lashes for the crime of loving a lowly French merchant. Deux, trois, quatre, cinq, six, sept, huit, neuf, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 17, 18, 19, 20. That was the first and only time I was ever beaten. They forced me to speak their words of repentance, but in my heart I knew I had done nothing wrong. And I refused to show them any shame. I refused to show them any pain. Because if I did, they would never respect me. And that's why I've never wanted anyone to feel sorry for me. So don't you go feeling sorry for me either. You see, I wouldn't be who I am if I didn't have to go through this. Treated this way.
Just respect me instead. Alright, now we're going to do a little calm response. Y'all ready?
Yes.
Alright. Now sing. Don't you dare pity me. I want you to sing. Just respect me instead. Don't you dare pity me.
Just respect me instead.
Don't you dare pity me.
Just respect me instead.
Don't you dare pity me.
Just respect me instead.
Thank you. That was good. And I'll respect you too. The next night, I went home. I laid down next to Pierre with my back facing towards him, so he could see the scars he had caused me. But he never said a word. He never acknowledged the pain he caused me. Instead, soon after that, he came home one day and handed me a letter of manumission. He said that me and my children were now free. That was the day I had waited for my entire life. But all I could think to say was, what does this mean? Are you leaving us? Are you leaving me? But he said, no, I'm not leaving you. He said, you are free to go as you please, or to stay with me as long as you wish. As long as you wish, he said. After all those years, that was the promise I had waited for. Not my freedom, but that. I was so foolish. But I stayed with him. This time I thought as an equal partner in our relationship. But that arrangement of things didn't last very long. You see, soon after that, Pierre sat me down very stiffly and said the time had come for us to live separate lives. He could no longer disobey his conscience or jeopardize the fate of his soul by loving a black woman. So he left. And married this white woman named Marie Therese Bouard soon after. Trying to find a man who won't hurt you is like trying to find a razor that won't cut, a fire that won't burn, a child that won't learn. You must not have heard me. You must not have heard the words coming out of your own mouth. Though we never said them in a church, I still took those vows to be sacred. Now I understand.
You were the master, and I was just your mistress. It really was just business to you. But still you promise you treat me like the queen I am. You promise you treat me like you give a damn. You promise you say, oh, my children free. You promise that you never leave. You promise me that you would stay with me. Pierre didn't leave me empty-handed, though. He left me this homestead, a few acres of land to support myself on. I built myself a cabin here, and for the first time in my life, I was truly, truly on my own. I believe everyone should go through a time in life when they are completely alone. Abandoned by friends, family, everyone who's supposed to love you. Maybe even God. Because how could I turn to God in my hour of need if the only way to access God was through a church that had condemned me, beaten me, and barred me from ever exchanging vows with either of the men I loved? There were days when I couldn't stand in the sun without crying. And there were nights when Pierre would come to visit me. He never said a word, but I knew what he wanted. And I gave it to him, just like before. Because deep in my bones, I still ached for him. And I was ashamed. I took long walks through the forest alone, calling out in search of God. Not the God they proclaimed here, whose words somehow legitimized the senseless cruelty of this new world they were building, but a God who existed somewhere beyond that, whom our royal ancestors had prayed to in times of need. I searched and searched and called out many names, but none of them landed. Then one day, I called out a name. Oh, Yalawayu. And suddenly, I felt this God's presence inside of me. I saw the earth, the stars, the whole universe inside of me and outside of me all at once. And at that moment, seeing the immense beauty of it all, I found the strength within. The next night, when Pierre came to my door, I didn't answer. He knocked and knocked until he got angry, yelling, demanding that I open the door, claiming to know I was there. Then he got quiet and I thought he had left. But then I heard him make a sound I had never heard him make. He was crying, whimpering. The purest, most beautiful tenor of a cry I have ever heard. He begged me to open the door. I need you, Coincoin. I need you. But I didn't move an inch. I just sat in my bed and listened to him. I really listened to him. And suddenly in his voice, I heard the sound of my past, not my future. And at that same moment, I heard him shuffle off into the night. And with that, I was finally, truly free of him. This is my Emancipation Proclamation. The day I realized that I am queen. Once I realized that I was truly on my own, I started to recognize the people who were in my life. My children and God. And I remembered the vow I had made so long ago to free all my children from the chains of slavery. You see, some of my children were still not free. Pierre had already freed most of our Natchitoches children, but the children I had with Chatham before I met Pierre were none of his concern. So I had to free them on my own. But how? Well, back in those days, and ever since really, the only way out was money. And so, newly independent for the first time in my life, I had to learn about a little thing called economics. The Europeans claim to have invented economics, but I'm sure in Africa we had it too. We just called it life. But here it seemed that economics meant you had to make others worse off to make yourself better off. I had to make enough money to set my children free. But the only way to make that much money at that time was to raise and sell crops. And I couldn't work the fields all by myself. And I certainly couldn't get any white folks to work for me. So who could I employ? Well, the only option I could see was to employ and own slaves myself. Now listen, y'all, this is where it gets sticky. I understand if you can't look at me in the same way anymore. But this is what happened. And you should know why it happened. All this to say, I am truly sorry. And that's something that's hard for a person like me to say. I treated my slaves well. I shared my profits with them. I treated them with the same dignity and respect I demanded from myself. But still, that doesn't justify any of it. It doesn't justify my white counterparts, so how can it justify me? I thought that I could rise up as a shining example for our people to follow. But now I realize not all of us could free ourselves like I did. If we all freed ourselves, there would be no slaves, and the whole system would collapse. The game was rigged. Not all of us could win. You see, I was the exception, not the rule. And I guess you could say that's the American dream, to be the exception, not the rule. In order for some of us to win, some of us must lose. And so, even though the game was rigged,
I chose to play in the hopes that one day we could play our own game. So I hustled and I hustled. And for better or for worse, this song is what I had to tell myself to keep going every day. I worked as a planter, a healer, a hunter, a midwife, you name it. I worked my fingers to the bone, yes I did. Found out I was a pretty good businesswoman too. But I didn't spend it all on myself. You see, year after year, I used the money I made to free each of my children, one by one. And eventually I freed the last one. My firstborn from Chatham, Marie Louise. I've done it. I have fulfilled my vow. I have restored our family to the dignity and honor we deserve.
You hear that, Mama? You hear that, Papa? I've done it. You are finally avenged. That was the greatest moment of my entire life. You see, I couldn't be free until my family was free. Now all my babies could come home. My children went on to become very successful too. My son Augustine went on to become the patriarch of a whole new community of free people of color here in Natchitoches. He built St. Augustine Catholic Church, which still stands today. Inside, his portrait hangs, a beautiful oil-painted portrait preserved through the centuries. He too owned slaves. And I still don't know what to think of that. Over the years, my 15 children begat many future generations. And my descendants have spread all over the world. But they can always come back to this family tree as a source of strength and wisdom. What's this? Marie Therese Coincoin, freed 1778 by Pierre Matois? No, that ain't right. Marie Therese Coincoin, freed 1778 by herself. There. And yep, there's Pierre, married to that white woman instead of me. And then our son Dominique. And then down this line till who's this? Wayne Christian Babineau? Do y'all know who that is? Woo! Nope. No, you don't? Oh, well, he's one of my descendants. Yeah. I was going to pretend like I didn't know who he was. You know, it was going to be funny, but it's okay. Anyway, I like him. He's a little fruitcake, though. Dressing up as a woman. But hey, the times have changed, I guess. Speaking of the time, we are coming to the end of my story. By the time I had set all my children free and seen them become successful, I was very near the end of my life. I suddenly had less and less energy. I retired from hustling and bustling. I let my children start taking care of me. I enjoyed those last few years, surrounded by the love of my children and grandchildren. I sat in this old rocking chair and told them stories of the past, from my life and from what my mother had taught me about our royal ancestors in Africa. I told them they could be anything they wanted to be, as long as they believed. I told them our family was destined for greatness. And we were, in a way. You see, my Matois descendants became one of the wealthiest families of color in the whole country for a time. They considered themselves a race apart from both blacks and whites. They called themselves French, not African. And so they secured special privileges for themselves. So when the Civil War came, they had no friends. And they lost the privilege and property they had gained. Many of them became sharecroppers and worked on the same plantations their ancestors had once owned. People tried to erase their history and their heritage. But my story was passed down from generation to generation. Coincoin, the African princess who freed herself and her children from slavery. Along the way, my story gained many embellishments, but the truth of my story cannot be erased. My name and the names of all my children can be found in countless documents. We are part of American history. In the last year of my life, I heard that Pierre had passed away. And I knew that my time was coming soon too. One day in the spring, not long after Easter, I felt it. I told my grandchildren one last story. And when I was finished, I got up from my old rocking chair. And I went to lay in my bed. The same bed my father had built for my mother all those years ago. The same bed I had shared with Chatham and Pierre. I wondered who I'd see in heaven. I wondered if people here would remember me and what I had done for my family. I wondered if I would ever be recognized for what I had accomplished in life. I closed my eyes for the final time. All the time, I'm surrounded by a feeling that I can't describe. Carry yourself with dignity, embrace the pain as beauty, and maybe one day you will be recognized. But until then, unrecognized, you are lying. Will I die unrecognized, an unsung hero? How long will I be unrecognized? Here I lie unrecognized. Will I die unrecognized, an unsung hero? How long will I be unrecognized? Sing my song through the vessel of my descendant. 10 whole generations later, I the tree, and he the branches. The wind blows through us, and together we sing. Unrecognized, there you are, unrecognized, even when you feel unrecognized. Know that one day someone may sing your song anew. of the unsung hero that is you. Someday you will be recognized. If you're still with me after everything we've been through together, can I get you to stand up from your seats? Put your hands together like this. All together. Good. Can I get you all to sing? Unrecognized. 1, 2, 3. Unrecognized. Here we are. Unrecognized. Here we stand. Unrecognized. Here we fly. Unrecognized. Here we are. Unrecognized. We're no longer unrecognized. We live on. Unrecognized. Still we sing the song of unsung heroes. All right, now for this last time, can we all get it out together as long as we can? All right. 1, 2, 3. Unrecognized. Beautiful. Thank you all for singing with me. I'm afraid I only have one more song for you tonight. It's called Connected. So can I get you all to hold hands with the person next to you? And can we form a large circle on the stage, of one big circle? Do I have to come down from the seats?
You would have filmed this. Really care. Hold on. I got this.
Make sure everybody can see everybody. We might have to be really close. It's okay. Good. Good. Now I know what you think. This ain't just some kumbaya nonsense. This is a tradition in our family, and I'd like you to be a part of it. I hope if you've learned anything tonight, it's that you should always be proud of who you are and where you come from. But you should also respect those around you at the same time. And even when you feel alone, you can always look back to those who came before you for guidance. Search for their stories, connect with them, and one day you will find yourself planted in a rich, fertile soil, a beautiful tree rising up to the heavens. Because at the end of it all, we all are connected. We all are connected. We all are connected. We all are connected. Do y'all want to sway? I like that. We all are connected. For better or for worse, be it a blessing or a curse, we all are connected. We all are connected in this world. All are connected. We all are connected. We have to move forward together now. Change things for the better now.
That's the only way to honor those who came before us. Now, can I get you all to step, touch, step, touch, touch, touch? And can I get you to sing these 4 simple words with me? Yes. 1, 2, 3, 4. We are connected. We are connected. We are connected. One last time. We are connected. This life, oh, oh, oh. I'm afraid our time together is almost complete. But before I go, I have a special gift for each of you. Please take one and pass it. Take one and pass it. And when you get your card, you can return to your seat. Make sure everyone gets a card.
Oh, that's yours.
Good. Now, I want you to take that card with you and sign your name on it and search for the answers to those questions. May your search lead you down the path to a deeper understanding of yourself and the world around you. And with that, I must bid you adieu. Thank you all for listening to my story tonight. One day I hope to hear all of yours. Until we meet again.